Greetings, travelers.
Greetings, travelers. Oh my gosh, it's good to be back.
It is so good to be back. I know you guys have gotten to listen to some of our original episodes that we've been airing. I'll just tell you, me and Mark have hit our busy season. So in case you're wondering, we shouldn't be airing anymore. But of course, if you never listened to the OG ones, go back and listen. We'd love for you to. We've also been posting some of the original videos that we did, which are, let's just say we weren't planning on them being videos. So if you see anything weird, that's unfiltered, me and Mark.
Behind the scenes, yes.
Yes. But we should be posting more of those. We've got a lot of the episodes up on YouTube now, for your viewing pleasure. And we have a lot of exciting things coming up. I will say we're super excited. We got our schedule for Dragon Con. I think as it stands right now, we have one of the big rooms that exists
Friday morning.
So if you want to come be part of that, we suggest we filled up. This isn't ego, I promise, travelers. It filled up super quickly. They were turning people away. The line started well in advance of it. So we have no control over any of that part of it, which sucks. So, but if you want to come see us in the big room, otherwise, you should be able to find us all over the place. We're going to have lots of panels, lots of hanging out in the horror track, extract. Those are our favorites. And hopefully an author signing. The editors in the last phases of looking at our book. We're working with the cover artist. So we are crossing our fingers. We're going to have copies available for Dragon Con. We will definitely have copies available in advance. This isn't releasing till February of next year, but every event we go to, we're going to be bringing copies between now and then, so you can get an advanced copy of The Dark Heart of the Appalachians. So, anyway, super excited
we'll
about
be
all that.
Premiering it. We hopefully be premiering at Dragon Con, but the official release is right before Mothman. So that's
not the actual release. It'll be on pre-order, but you'll be able to get it. So, yay, publishers. So, and if you order from 4horsemen.com, the number 4horsemen.com, when it's up for pre-order, they will send you the copies in advance, and you can order them from eerietravels.com to get signed copies with some of Carrie's amazing art, and she gets stamps made of some of the creatures. So she really creates a beautiful package for everybody.
The color hardcovers, she puts the extra stamps in.
Oh my God, the hardcovers are going to be in color, so they're kind of amazing. Anyway, it's way bigger than The Dark Side of the Smoky Mountains. So
Dark Side of the Smokies was triple the size of the old History Press books, because History Press only lets us go to 48,000 words. We love History Press, and I will happily do more for them in the future, but they split it up. That's why Florida has 3 books. But we did Smokies was 150,000 words, I think. And then the new one is insane. So
it's just, Mark had to, Mark was out of control.
I kept going, wait a minute, I may never write about this place again. So I got to put these little bunny trails and all these other things in it. So
exactly. It's quite an adventure. And I will say, we've got a lot of events, as we said, coming up, but after October and November, we will be starting the Dark Depths of the Florida Coast, I think is what we're...
that's going to take a little bit of research, but we've already, I've done a lot of Florida books, but I don't want to tread too much of ground I've already done. So we got some road trips coming up over winter to double check and make sure these places are still there and open. And I've got some new versions of the stories I already did. So we may retread it a little bit, but like we did in Appalachia, I hit a few stories, the big ones, but we've got new information on them. So we were able to put that in. So, so lots of stuff going on, and I've been a little under the weather, gang. I apologize. That slowed us down a little bit. And then Erica, you've been on some wild adventures without me.
Yes. As we know, Mark's got health things, and luckily his health's getting better, but Mark has not been able to get on planes. So hopefully that'll be resolved soon, because we do want to do some international travels and stuff.
I've been cleared, and we're working with that British documentary that I am not allowed to say more than that. But that should be early next year filming. So had to update the passport, all that. So that's fun.
Yes. And by the way, global entry for those travelers out there in the US is brilliant. It took me exactly 2 minutes to go through customs. Two, one, two. Scan my face, Erica, go. That was it. So, oh, they also asked me if I had anything to declare, which I did not. But I anyway. So let's get started with. Do you have any news, Mark? Before, because I know we you want to
Well,
recap a couple of your events that you did
I
recently?
I can do mine first. We can save yours for last. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
I
that.
I did the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot conference in Gatlinburg, which is always one of our favorite events. They did a real neat thing this year. They did, it was $20 to $30 VIP if you wanted to go see the speakers. If you just wanted to go to the expo, the vendor hall, and meet the B tier, um, it was $10, and you could bring kids under 10 free. That was amazing, and so we got a huge crowd that event's never had. Um, Everybody had a great time.
Sorry to
Our
miss
good
that.
friend, RPG
Oh,
was the MC as always. He is nothing but energy. He is like a ferret on Jolt Cola. It's
yeah,
just
that's so
crazy.
true.
Yeah, but, so he was the MC and he was running around between people. That show I, guest on their panel, Parageeks on Area 52, we had all of us there except for Anthony, our Egyptologist, who we had on an episode. And so we got to interview witnesses and check out their footage and like pictures and stuff like that. So we got to, our Parageek show where we digitize it and look at it and make sure it's not just some blurs or some orbs, stuff like that. I got to meet Maria Mayer. She's on Expedition Bigfoot, and she's an anthropologist, really nice person, amazing. We got to talk to our old friend Martin Groves, probably one of the biggest dogman experts. He was the guy who was researching it before Beast of Bray Road was even a name. Um, and he's got some amazing stories. If you pick up his books, bang on. They did some encounter tables, where round tables with people. Our good friend Seth Breedlove, who does Small Town Monsters, he did a table that was really cool, where he talked about his documentaries, how he started and what he's still doing. Man, if you haven't watched Small Town Monsters, those are the best cryptid documentaries, UFO documentaries, and they started doing ghosts now because he stayed at a cabin that I recommended here in North Carolina. Guess what? Now he believes in ghosts. So there you go.
No,
Uh,
it's sometimes it takes an encounter and
yep,
then an acknowledgement of that encounter to realize that there's something we don't understand out there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's incredible. And that's like I said, he's been doing these documentaries for years and he keeps opening doors he didn't even know were there. So I did a couple with him. I did On the Trail of UFOs, Dark Skies with Shannon, our wonderful Shannon LeGros. And then I recently did On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Ancients, which is all about here in the Smoky Mountains and then Natahalia. So very good. Then Harvest Moon came out. I've never met her before. She is a storyteller of an indigenous tribe. I'll massacre. It's the Quananault. I'm sorry, they're their tribe I'm not familiar with, but she told some stories, some old legends, and I've been allowed to tell one legend that she told. She allowed me is the um, one of the shortest legends. So I'll tell that real quick. Um, the Cherokee or the Quananault indigenous chief had set out in his canoe, and he was sailing the river because he'd heard the white man had made a giant thing to alter the flow of the river. So as he sailed along in his canoe, he passed the bend and saw this amazing structure and was overwhelmed by it, and then rolled into it and smacked his head. And he said, "Damn." And that's where the name stuck.
Oh my gosh, that is so borderline a dad joke. That's what you
Yes.
say.
Yes. I loved it. So yeah,
So that's
that'll be worked
fascinating.
into a book somewhere or something. But and then
Y-
the last, of course, was David Pilates, Missing 411. Love him and hate him. It's just, I'm I love him for the stories and the bringing the attention to stuff. I don't like that he fudges the facts and figures sometimes, and, he's a former cop, he should know better. So,
Yeah.
I understand telling a story and fudging things, that's what I do. He shouldn't. So
Well, it's different if you say, "Hey, I'm telling a story," versus,
yeah,
"Hey, this is a local legend or lore," or you know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah,
just
or this
different.
is a true crime that happened, and here's the evidence, and some of it's made up and some of it's not there when you can just look at the public available information and go, "Oh, wait a minute." Yeah. So,
Yeah.
whatever this woman disappeared, never seen again. Oh, wait, you look at the police report, her body was found 2 days later. It was terrible. Bad things have been done to it. Yeah. It's I get it. I get it. So, but anyway, David, we love you. Please don't forget we'd love to have you on. We will not grill you too bad. So, but
No, it's true. And, news, we should be able to do hopefully, we're gonna try this week or next week to do a live with the North Carolina Bigfoot hunters, Tim
yep,
Dills, Rachel,
yep,
like,
NCI. Yep,
they've
they
been
were there.
dying to be on, so I'm gonna
Yep.
try to arrange so that we can do a YouTube live because 'cause it's been a little bit. Um, so we will see. But that sounds like fun, and of course, we always love seeing travelers come out,
Yep.
and
Quite
if
a
you're a
few.
traveler somewhere, our new book will come out in February when you have a release date. If there is a bookstore you would like us to be a part of, reach out to them and see if they wanna have us come and do a signing in your area and do some storytelling and maybe some lore exploration because me and Mark absolutely adore that. So, yes, please let us know.
Yeah,
Okay.
should be a
So
lot of fun. So,
yeah. So, Mark, guess where I went? You don't
you
have to
went
guess, you know where I went, but just
I know
pretend.
where you went. You went overseas somewhere. You went across, many, many lakes and rivers and then some big ocean thing, and,
Yeah, there was an ocean involved, it was a long flight. I went to Costa Rica for the
oh,
first time.
yay!
So, I went with my husband's family, and we stayed in a town called La Fortuna.
Mhm.
Um, I also, I did learn how to ask for the baño, which is the bathroom, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's
I
important.
have to say, so first of all, it's very tropical. It's a jungle,
Mhm.
legitimately a jungle country, right? But we stayed right next to the Ar Arenal volcano. I hope I'm saying that correctly. But
Okay.
um I'm gonna tell a little guess what, Mark? I get to tell a little lore.
I'm all ears because
Okay. So
I only know, like 3 things of legendary beasts in Costa Rica, so I'm curious to hear what you got.
Okay. So what was interesting is, I mean, Costa Rica, beautiful country, beautiful, very mountainous. It actually driving there reminded me a lot of driving around the mountains up here. People were like, "This is so windy from Florida and stuff like that." And I was like, I drive this every day. Give me the wheel. I got this. So it was an adventure. But let me tell a little bit about this volcano because this is a huge part of the lore in this one area. One thing I will tell you about La Fortuna is that it is really set up for tourists and not just tourists, but American tourists is the biggest draw of this particular area. And like I said, it's near a giant lake. It absolutely beautiful. Turns out, fun story, they were trying to warn us of the dangers, like if you go into the lake, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, there are crocodiles in the lake. And I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, I lived in Florida where there's alligators in our swimming pools. I've got the crocodiles in the lake situation.
Yeah.
And one of the people that, was there with us was just started laughing. I'm like, "You are not going to scare me." But, it was absolutely beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about this volcano, okay? Because between the 1500s and the 1900s, it was silent. Most people thought it was extinct. They built towns along the base of this mountain. Right? This volcano, they thought it was whatever, but on
Mm.
Monday, July 29th, 1968, at 7:30 AM Pacific Daylight Time, it erupted
Oof.
violently. It continued for several days. It buried over 15 square kilometers rocks, lava, ash, right? It threw giant rocks. And I think some people see volcanoes and they think it's just a little lava goes down, right? This thing flung rocks, some of them weighing several tons, more than a kilometer away at 1,600 meters per second.
Mm.
Created 3 new active craters for this volcano.
Jeez. That's huge.
It is. So unfortunately, when it was finally over, it had killed 87 people and buried 3 small villages. I'm gonna try to say the name of the villages.
That's Pompeii level there.
Yeah, Tabacon, Pueblo Novillo, and San Luis. And it affected more than 232 square kilometers of crops being spoiled, properties ruined, livestock killed. It was horrible, right? Now, the scary part was there wasn't a lot of water near this volcano. So they actually this lake we're talking about, right, was created by a dam, a huge dam to create a water reservoir for this volcano. So between 1968 and 2010, the volcano was still incredibly active. It continued to spew rocks, smoke, ash, and lava almost every day,
That's
right?
nuts.
Of course, none of it compared to what happened when it blew in 1968, but they don't quite build around this volcano anymore, right?
Mm.
So the neat part though is in the wake of this devastation, it created some incredibly beautiful areas, like amazing areas, right? And so it is absolutely a lush green forest. We got to walk through many of it, do hiking. I will
Mm.
say, I'm going to get a little bit into the folklore, but I told Mark before we started recording that they don't like to talk about the folklore in these
No,
areas where there are a lot of tourists. They
very
will not
guarded.
talk about negative things. Trust me. Tried to get every guide on every adventure I went on to tell me no stories. No, no, we don't have legends. And I was like, I know you do because I already researched them. But when I bring them up, I could tell they recognized what I was talking about, but then they wouldn't talk about it. It was very much like park rangers in the US. It was all
Yep.
like, nope, nope, this isn't happening.
Don't
Nope.
wanna blow the tourism dollars. They don't realize that's tourism dollars. That's
It's true. It's very true. But one of the things is this is one of the countries that has the most sloths in the world. They have a two-toed sloth and a three-toed sloth.
awesome.
And I happened to get to see so many of them, including a little baby one munching
Oh,
on some leaves. Super adorable creatures. They also they have the capybaras. Yeah.
just running
And
wild.
yeah, and their equivalent, it was very funny because we were talking about raccoons, which I love, to
Yeah,
lovingly call trash pandas because they
yes.
are trash pandas, right? And I think people forget that they're one of the few, kind of like squirrels, they have thumbs. They're much better at destruction and getting into things. They have an equivalent of a trash panda that has the rings on it, but it's sort of a brown and cream colored creature, but it's related to the capybaras.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got to go whitewater rafting down the rivers and stuff. Oh,
Oh, geez.
the water, like Mark, I can't even describe how perfect this water was to go in. I have several pictures I'm going to share. I'm going to try for this episode to give you one of the pictures where right as they were taking pictures of us, which was very nice of the tour, I fell in the middle of the raft when I
Yep.
wasn't supposed to. So there's a picture of me looking completely ridiculous, but I saw the photographer, so I was like, like um, and then I went white rafting. I went tubing, which was amazingly beautiful. I got to see a toucan live and in person close to me. Those birds are beautiful in the wild. Um,
Do
I
you have Fruit
also
Loops?
saw what?
Did he have Fruit Loops?
No, I wish he had because I could have
Yeah.
used the snack at that
Well,
point.
I will just say this. I gotta say something for you, for whitewater rafting tubing. As Mark is concerned, nope. That's my nope. So there you go.
Okay, we found something
You're not my nope.
irritating that Mark will not do.
I don't do water like 90% of the time. Just because Jaws lives there. You never know. He will come up through the streams. He'll take me out. I don't want anything to do with that. So
No.
I like being top of the food chain.
That's adorable. I will say this just to my husband, we're on the tubing and they talk about with tubing and whitewater rafting, they're like, this is what happens if you fall out, right? Like
Mhm.
they give you instructions, you're wearing a life vest. Wear a life vest when you go do these
Yeah,
things because it
100%.
helps keep you up because you can't control the currents. And there was one part of the river where the current was doing almost like a riptide where it was pulling in both directions at the same time. But we're starting out on our tubing, and one of the things it talks about is if you hit rocks the right way in rapids, the tube can flip, which is why Mark refuses to go because whatever. So they're telling us this whitewater rafting, nobody fell out of the boat. I jumped out to go swimming, which they allowed me to do, which was super fun, but there wasn't any of that. And but we're taking off. We're like 5 minutes into this river. We're hitting the first rapids, and my husband flips his tube, goes into the
Oh.
water. And I was it was it's so funny because then the guide who was with us in a separate tube kept holding on to my husband's tube, and we mimicked the joke that he was like he was in a timeout then. He was not allowed to be on his own. It was not his fault. He did hit a rock, but it was very funny. So the tubing was amazingly beautiful, and the tubing was in a different river than the whitewater rafting, and just for the record, travelers, I have not been whitewater rafting since I was a teenager.
Mhm.
So it was like I had done it again for the first time. Very interesting, exciting, lots of rapids, but the tubing water was the color of your shirt, Mark. It was this cobalt blue. It was
Mm.
so beautiful, so perfectly temperatured, so much fun. And so that was amazing. And then I went horseback riding. We posted that video of me on back of a horse. I love horseback riding. And we went into the water with the horses through a river and everything
That's awesome.
and through the jungle and through the mountains. I saw a ton of sloths on that particular thing. So that was a lot of fun. And what else happened? So I went on those tours, but oh, this was really fun. I went to their butterfly conservatory and there is a
Yay!
gentleman. So what apparently happened, a little bit of history, and this is history from the person who runs this butterfly conservatory. Try to put a link there, but I think I put a link in my video about it. Um, he bought the land after the government had taken huge parts of land with the intention of allowing um, American cattle farming. So they do have
Oh, yeah.
cows there, but they're more with the big hump shoulders. Like they don't look like most of the cows you see in the US. They're
Yeah,
more like ox cows. I don't know how to describe it.
yeah.
And I'm not great with animals. So there you go.
The
And but apparently they learned very quickly the climate is not good for raising those kind of animals. So they
yeah,
cleared all this land, got rid of all these native creatures to clear it to do this farming, and then found out, hi, the farming doesn't work here. I always think it's interesting when people do crap like that because it's like bringing non-indigenous creatures to handle some sort of pest from another country, not realizing those don't have natural predators. We could go down an entire list of those. Anyway, so there's a butterfly conservatory and they've been bringing back native frogs.
nice.
My favorite thing in the entire world, I have a picture of this, cave cockroaches, Mark. Cave
Oh, yay!
cockroaches. They are no lie this big. They have
Wow.
little clear spotted like
Yeah,
covers. They do not look anything like a modern roach. I know a lot of people are like, "Eh, gross." I got to pet them.
yeah,
I don't know how they felt about being pet, but I was allowed to I guess I should say touch them because
yeah.
it's not like
You're not
they're kitty
really
cat.
cutting 'em. Yeah, Gary has gets the hissing cockroaches every once in a while, and they like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, she's had a couple big ones, and they're completely different from what you think of a regular cockroach. So
They are, and what was interesting to find out about these cockroaches, so they're cave cockroaches. They live mainly in caves and dark places. They are not like just out and about. You're not gonna find them in your house. But what was fascinating to me is they're herbivores. These particular roaches don't just like eat anything. Like we know roaches will kind of eat anything in
yeah.
the US. Like you find them in your kitchens. If something is not, alive anymore in a house, they could be
Mhm.
found eating that. Sometimes people have been bitten by cockroaches if they're overwhelming. Really gross stories. We're not going to get in the horror of that. But what was interesting is these won't do that. They are herbivores. But
Mm.
the native people in Costa Rica used to fry them up for protein
Oh
because
yeah,
they're 3 inches long.
yeah.
They're,
Uh,
yeah. So
Good source of meat.
yeah. And then I found out from this conservatory, this is not even the most fascinating thing. I'm going to get to that. They have poison dart frogs. They raise poison dart frogs there. Ooh, I was like, new ways to kill people. But I found out so the poison dart frog that has the green and black markings, like neon green and black, it turns out I didn't know this. Travelers, if you knew this, I'm impressed. I'm going to say this fact, then we'll take a break. I'll come back with my final creature and some of the lore real quick. But um, the poison dart frogs, you would think it would be a painful whatever death. Do you know what it feels like? It
Uh,
feels like somebody gave you a massive dose of morphine and cocaine at the
yeah,
same time.
yeah.
I was like, if anything in nature is gonna take me out, I vote to poison dart frog. Because I
Yep.
mean, you're in a euphoric state of exhilaration, and then probably your heart explodes, like
Yeah,
but I had
yeah.
no
Well,
idea that the poison was like that. Did you know that? You
I've
probably did. It's
never
scary.
I'd read about it, but I didn't know the full extent. Again, it's one of those you read about it in all the old men's adventures where, somebody poison tipped an arrow with it, and who knows if that's legit, but we do know it kinda is, and,
Well,
yeah.
it was talking about that. So they in Costa Rica, the tribes that were there would use blowguns. Like they had samples of them in the darts, which by the way, it's not a little teeny dart. This thing is like
Yeah,
a dart you'd kill a
yeah,
dinosaur or an elephant with. I don't know. It was huge. But what's interesting is the different frogs have different kinds of poison and different effects. So,
yeah,
depending on the effect they wanted to create, because there are ones that create extreme pain and things like that. So,
yeah.
anyway, it was fascinating to learn though. So, just in case anyone ever needs to be taken out by something, make it a poison dart frog that's green and black. That's what I'm going to say. And with
There you
that,
go.
why don't we take a quick break and come back with the last few fun things?
That sounds like a plan. We'll be right back.
Okay, we're back.
Now we're back.
I love these YouTube videos almost more than the regular podcast because we
Oh,
insert
man,
our
yeah.
commercials in the regular podcast, but these videos show our ridiculousness. And we hope we get Bo back soon. She's doing a lot better, but
Yep.
man, we suck at pressing buttons.
I'm terrible.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I
So
gotta label them more, and I just haven't done that yet, so
that's okay. Mark, I think no matter
they're
what tool
labeled
we
for
have,
Bo. They're
yeah,
labeled for Bo and not for Mark, which
yeah.
is it needs to be
Bo.
labeled for about a 4-year-old versus, someone who actually knows what they're doing. They need to be like, "Put the square peg in the round hole for me." That's yeah.
Love that. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Uh,
So, final thing, and then I want to talk about a little of the lore that I researched
I
that
have
nobody
I have a
told me
couple I
about
wanna
when I
ask you
was there.
about, see if you know about them. So this will be
Yeah.
fun.
Is they have an indigenous butterfly, which is the only butterfly that can quote unquote disappear. So I learned a lot. Now, the butterfly, if you look at it on the front side of the wings, is bright blue, again, like your shirt. It's this gorgeous blue. I have one that I got from the butterfly farm that had passed away from, because they only last like 2 weeks. So
Yep.
butterflies don't last a long time. So they collect the ones that pass away and they just,
Ethically
they'll,
sourced,
yeah,
ethically sourced. Oh, and for listeners who are not watching the video, my color of shirt is Cobra Commander blue. So that's all you need to know. So,
which if you're a G.I. Joe fan, you know what that is, or it's cobalt blue. Anyway,
yeah.
moving on. So on one side, it's cobalt blue, like the outside, and on the inside, it's sort of a brown tan with what looks like a bunch of different eyes on. Now, when it opens up, it almost looks like an owl or something like that. And
Mm.
the reason it's like that is because one, it can blend into the foliage with the more neutral colors, and two, predators will think it's a predator because it'll see
Oh,
the
yeah.
eyes and think it's another predator. But what I didn't know is what will happen is when it's flying and the blue side opens up that's really shiny, it'll attract predators. So the predator sees it, then doesn't see it, then sees it, then doesn't see it. But what is unique, and only this butterfly apparently is what they told me there, is if you hold the blue side up to the light, it doesn't matter if it's natural light or unnatural light, it the blue disappears. And if the light is shining through it, you only see the brown side. I'm going to do a little video where I show this, but it is amazing. So this thing basically disappears and
Yep.
becomes this predatory looking creature. And it's the only butterfly in the world that has that ability.
Awesome.
Not the only
That's
one that
pretty
has
cool.
the eyes on the other side of the wings, but the only one that, with its Cobra Commander blue side, can go into the light and disappear and become the eyeballs and the predator. So it is fascinating.
Mhm.
Also, these butterflies spend like 2 months to get to the point where they become butterflies, right? From pupas, like we saw the larvae, all that. And they're about this big. They're about the size of a salad plate. They're actually pretty
Yeah.
large butterflies. And um, then they only last like 2 weeks, which is kind of sad. They put all that effort into being born to only last like a couple weeks. But this
Mhm.
wonderful butterfly sanctuary is bringing back these native species, and
That's
anyway,
wonderful.
very fascinating. Also saw some of the biggest beetles I've ever seen,
Oh, yeah.
scorpions, tarantulas, like there are a lot of bugs. There are bugs. I will say this, if you go to Costa Rica, there are two things you have to take with you. Have to sunscreen and bug spray. And I'm not joking about that. Even sitting out on the deck and stuff like this of the vacation place we were at, I had to have bug spray and sunscreen on because you are literally right basically on the equator. So
Yep.
closest to the sun you're going to be. Okay. I only want to give a few more minutes, but I thought I would follow up with some of the Costa Rican sort of folklore, right?
Okay.
So um, there's a couple different ones. One of my favorites that I read about, and keep in mind I had to read about them because they wouldn't tell me any of
Yep.
these tribes, was the La Segua, I think is how it's called,
Oh, yeah. That's one of the ones I
which,
know.
yes, is one of the Central America's own versions of a siren.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
See.
So apparently, how they would display themselves is men would be riding home, right? And, along the roadside, they'd see what looks like a damsel in distress. She would be absolutely beautiful, but she'd need help. So, of course, the men would stop to help, have her climb on the back of the horse as they start down the way towards whatever village or home. They would suddenly start smelling a very foul odor and hefty snorting instead of just breathing from
Mm.
their passenger. When the man would turn around, this beautiful female he picked up would turn into the monster with the head of a putrefied horse.
Yep. Yep.
And if he didn't die immediately, he would have to promise to do well. He'd have to promise to change his ways, settle down and marry the plain respectable girl
Mhm.
next door, things like that. And so it's kind of, you know, I like that they called it a siren, although I feel like a
Yep.
siren usually would be.
No, it's yeah, they're usually in the water. This is on the ground. So this is and she's, I've heard she's super seductive looking and she primarily focuses on married men,
Yes.
and, so that's if you're being unfaithful, that's where she gets you. So,
Yeah. No,
alright,
exactly. Okay. So there's another fun creature,
okay,
the El Cajetto. Cajetto? I
okay.
don't know.
Not
But
familiar with that one.
this is a colonial era tale. Apparently, there was a young man whose father, who was defiant to his father.
Ah,
And so the dad decided to teach him a lesson, like you do. Um, and basically said that if you continue your life of sin, the father, who apparently was also a wizard, by the way,
oh, nice.
or a shaman, or
Yeah.
turn his son into a dog, but not just any dog. It would be a very hairy dog with red eyes and goat feet, like a goat dog.
Wow.
And the apparently this creature is condemned to drag a chain behind it.
Oh,
It's
this is very
it's a
bench
devil
leg
dog.
here. I'm loving this. Yeah.
Yeah. So on rural roads, people would say they would see the glowing red eyes, hear the growl, and the sound of a chain being dragged at the dead of night.
Very nice. I
Yeah.
like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one. That one,
So
it
that
sounds
was
like I have to look into that one a bit more. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So uh there is another. This one was funny. It's like a headless priest story. So apparently,
Oh, that was the one I was gonna talk about. Yay.
I'll save it for you then. I'll
No,
save it
no, it's
for
fine. Go for well, I wanna hear what you
no,
have to say, and
no,
then I'll tell
because
my version.
I have one more.
Okay.
Um so uh the one of the things that was interesting to me is I think that it's called the La La Horna. La La.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
it's a
Big
weeping
in
woman.
Central America.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who wanders apparently along rivers searching for her lost child. There are a lot of versions of this story, right?
Mhm.
Now, a lot of it centers around a girl who maybe had a child out of wedlock, and another one was like she was seduced by the owner of a house who rejected her when she got knocked up. So, when she returned to her home, apparently on a rainy night, she threw her baby out of wedlock um into the river. So she walks along the banks and people will hear her cries. And but the thing that was interesting, right, was whether she threw uh the baby herself, or the parents threw the baby, or the father threw the baby, like there's all these
Mhm.
different versions. But one of the stories talks about is they'll find her weeping and she will be weeping milk.
Wow.
They'll find a trail of milk where they've heard this woman weeping along the river. So, I mean, that would be super effing creepy to me. But, yes. So those are just like some of the things I know. There were some places that were haunted. Um,
Mhm.
there you can definitely feel it in some of the areas, and especially around the volcano where there was so much loss, right?
Yeah.
Um, one thing is there are a lot of bridges that fail along these rivers. I mean, part of it
Yeah.
is they're boats and stuff, and so there's a tremendous amount of negative energy in some of those places. Like we tubed past where a huge bridge had collapsed, and Um, it had killed several people, and it's just, like, you can feel it. So even though I wasn't able to get actual ghost stories, because nobody would tell me what was happening,
Yeah.
I could tell you there's a lot of things, but I would research a lot of the stuff before you go, travelers, just to see if you can find and discover some of those, places. But I did get to see the peak of the volcano, which apparently they told me was very, very rare that the clouds clear enough, but on one day, it allowed me to see it.
Dang, that's awesome. Sounds like an amazing trip. Costa Rica, like I said, is filled with that La Llorona is like a Central American myth, started in Mexico area, and then it traveled over, of course, and so of course it became Costa Rican. They merged it a little bit there. There's a legend there called the, I believe, I'm sorry, we're butchering all these names. I think it was the Tulivea, um, and that's this woman who wandered town to town, and she was once beautiful, of course, and then she had an affair with a man, didn't keep the baby, so she drowned the baby. Some say she drowned herself, and she came back as this, uh, big, short woman, big and, fat, and she had huge breasts that drip milk constantly, and so there's ants following her all the time. And, so it's, the river bearing babies that carried over, and then her footprints were reversed, which is like a thing in Japanese myth, but it does happen here a lot where the footprints are reversed so you can't track her. And again, she attacks lustful men who are drawn by her enormous breasts. You know? It's
So, I mean, that
it's a
kind
wild one.
weird, but kinda makes sense. I will
The other
say this,
version of
I
her is she's chasing babies to feed them so that she can loosen her load.
what's interesting is these stories that have morphed and they're folklore, like I
Yep,
said, but, I will say, though, I did have a lot of plantains while I was there.
there you go.
Big fan, big
Yeah.
fan of the plantains and things like that. Um, their currency is colones. So
Mhm.
I learned how to do that because, of course, it's very different than ours here.
Yes.
Beautiful. They have much more beautiful money than we have as far as the look of it. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. But why don't you tell your headless priest story, Mark?
Okay, well, one more before then is the Sapitio, I believe. I believe those are like the Fae there. They're the little people who play tricks on you, very small, mischievous beings, but they attack women more than men. So that's their thing. All right. So the headless father is what I've heard. And he was a priest and he wanders the roads at night because somehow he lost his head. I couldn't find that in my research at all. When you
So
were heading there,
apparently
I
it was locked off over a married lady in his parish
see.
because and so the rumor is that it's not somebody who necessarily um wanders just the roads, is that there was in Cartago, it also appears at a cathedral that had been destroyed in an earthquake. It
Yeah,
was rebuilt and destroyed in another earthquake. So they say that every time it gets rebuilt, the vengeful god seems to shake the earth beneath the church, but the ruins are still there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's
another version was that he loved to gamble.
hmm, okay.
And he secretly buried his hoard of treasure under a tree in San Ramon,
Okay. Well, so
and
that's
so
why
he was
everybody treasure
decapitated.
hunts there.
Yeah.
Alright, that makes sense. Now there was one other, I believe it was like a Janus thing, it's like 2 heads. The Cadejo, and the white one is benevolent, and it follows travelers. Hey, that's important. Follows travelers and make sure you're safe and
Yeah.
protects you from robbers, other dangers, and the black Cadejo, which is malevolent and with blazing red eyes, and that one has goat hooves too, because that's apparently a big thing down there. He's the one with the chain behind him. That's the one I had heard.
Yeah.
So
I think, it's
yeah, they
interesting.
blend together these legends. It's folklore.
Yeah. And I will say this, outside of being near a city, um, it is incredibly dark there at night. It gets dark
Mhm.
fairly early and it's incredibly dark. And the noises in the jungle, like there are frogs that sound like they're screaming. Like the place we stayed at was in a much more rural area and you could see nothing, but you could hear the creatures at night moving around and stuff like that, and they told you not to wander around at night. There are different creatures there, besides
Yeah.
crocodiles, that are not necessarily pleasant for, humans to run into, so,
Yep.
not surprising, a little creepy, but it was a very fun adventure, and I will do we'll post on the site, like a photo catalog of all of the stuff I was able to see and do, and then I'll do a little
Mhm.
video showing the butterfly just to, because like I said, I
Wonderful.
got a framed version of it because it was just fascinating to me.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And travelers, if you want to go to Costa Rica, we highly recommend it. Erica has just given it the two thumbs up. I will. I have read about it. I've never been, so that may be on my list for future travels. I'm excited that we are on the readiness for all the events coming up. We will see you at DragonCon. We are in the 2 ballrooms. I misread that. We are gonna be on Friday and, I believe, oh goodness, Sunday at 1. We're also gonna
Oh,
be in. We will have our wonderful friend Chris the girl with us, and we'll be doing Planning Your Haunted Road Trip, and that'll be at the Capitol Ballroom in the Cortland, and then we'll be at the Friday night is the or Friday morning is the cryptids of Dark Appalachia, and that's Friday in the Crystal Ballroom at the Hilton. I don't think we've done that
yes,
one before, so that's nice. It's very nice. So find us there, gang, if you're at Dragon Con, and if you aren't at Dragon Con, wow, it's a chore, but it's awesome. We live for it, but it's a crazy beast. So Patreon folks, thank you again. As always, you're all amazing. I got to see a couple of you. We did a little local library event in Western North Carolina, and some of you showed up, and that is always a pleasure. And yeah, so we're on the road. Keep an eye on. We're on the countdown to Mothman. Oh my goodness, that that
absolutely.
that's our Black Friday, gang. It's nuts. It's another world. But anyway, thank you for all our travels. Thanks for putting up with us for a few weeks while I was out and while Erica was traveling and researching for our future project. And gang, when you're out in those roads and you're out in central Latin America and you're watching for dart bugs, dart frogs, you're watching for butterflies that change their shape, keep your eyes out for La Lorna. And if she has giant breasts, you're looking at something else. And we'll see you on the other side.